Welcome, Todd. Thanks for joining us today. How's it going?
It's going great, Renee. Thanks so much for having me. Lauren, it's good to be here.
Yeah, we're thrilled to have you on during this holiday season. This is such perfect
Amen.
timing. Crazy. I don't know where 2024 went, but Todd, you've had such an amazing journey, your career, your personal health journey. You have, I'm sure, endless stories to share with the world, and you continue to motivate people all around the world, millions of people. So today you're here to motivate our audience, our biohackers. And, I think we'd love to dive into some tips to get through the holiday season, especially just
Mm,
with the timing of the episode. And I think to start off, let's talk about mindset because I think
mm.
mindset comes first because we see this all the time. Like maybe you get onto some healthy habit, but to stick with it, if you don't have the mindset, it's not going to last. So, what would you say to people during this time of year? Like, how important is mindset and where should we start?
Absolutely. Thank you, Renee and Lauren. I love hearing you guys talk because your podcast is great. And I know all your listeners love you guys. Mindset is
Yeah.
everything because without your mind, you got nothing. I always like, get your mind right, get your mind right. But the $1 million question is this: how do you get your mind right when your mind's not right? Right. Like, so when it's not
Yeah.
right, how do you get it right? And right now in a busy season, there's chaos, there's parties, and there's 1,000 things going on. How do you get your mind right in a busy time? I'll do it in January. No, let's not accept mediocrity. I hate mediocrity. I hate being average. I don't allow my clients to think that way. It's like, okay, what can we control right now? Number one, be selfish with your time and start to move and work out. If you're not working out now, if you are, don't don't change that. We want to work out 30 minutes a day. Go for a walk. Go for a hike. Most days of the week, you should be doing something. And that needs to come first. What I find is if it doesn't get done first, it could very well then just not happen that day. And I'm always like, win the day, win today, win today. So to get your mind right, you got to change your physiology because your physiology changes your psychology. So by changing your physiology, you can change your psychology. So physiologically, every single day, how do we do that? Obviously, we talk about biohacking. You guys are the queens of that. It comes down to movement. It comes down to everything from cold plunges and getting in the sauna and getting body work and massage. I mean, these are some great things that you can do personally or even as gifts for your loved ones, your colleagues, your friends, as, hey, I'm going to give the gift of health. So those are just a few of the things I would say. But right now is the time to double down on your physiology and your movement so that you can change your psychology.
Hmm. I
I
love that.
love that. Yeah, I
Yeah.
can't agree more. I've been watching, just as a personal experience, been watching my husband start a new job, and he has more structure than he's ever had before. And so now he's waking up early, he's exercising, and his mood has just like gone to the heavens, like in a good way. And I'm like,
Like, keep moving,
see,
honey, keep
yes,
moving.
like physiology affects psychology. It's just so true. But one thing kind of changes in your schedule, and all the pieces kind of fall apart, especially around the holidays. So anything like
Absolutely.
even more specific around the holidays, because it's like one domino falls, and then it's like, oh my gosh, we're forget about it until February. I don't even know.
Yep. Yeah, and this is
Yeah.
going to sound so rhetorical, but it's not. Could you spend just a couple minutes in the morning or the evening to write down a few minutes of gratitude? Journal, journal. Like when you actually sit down for, I'm just going to say 3 minutes, first thing in the morning, like go down to your home office or find a place in your home and just, whether it be an open notebook or you actually have a journal. I have a journal that I use. And you just write down all that you're grateful for and your goals for the day. You all of a sudden take control of the day. And I think the mere fact of putting on paper, it's always said that by he or she who has her health has 1,000 dreams, he or she does not has one. It's the same way with writing. Writing creates clarity, and clarity precedes genius. Writing creates clarity, clarity precedes genius. The mere fact of sitting down first thing in the morning, gathering your thoughts, whether you want to go into the faith walk and say prayer, meditation, or you just want to like be grateful for that you have a home and it's the holidays, you got your kids coming home or whatever it may be. I find that writing is a very simple, not easy, simple way for you to wrap your head into the focus of here's what I need to do today. You focus on what you have and your gratitude, which that all of a sudden now eases out all of the anxiety and things that you have to do, all the gifts you didn't need to do, the preparation for the parties and this and that. It's like, here's what I can control. So I think journaling is a great way to bring it into full fledged. Most people don't do it, but I'm a huge believer in journaling and having a system to journal most days of the week, not every day, but most days of the week, and in a morning and an evening journal. That's even better.
Oh yeah, I couldn't agree
Yeah.
more. And I'm not a big journaler. I've taken a liking to post-it notes. I'm like, that
Perfect.
counts because I'm putting it on paper, right? So I don't know if that
Yeah.
helps anyone,
It's
but
all pen to
just
paper.
just put
Getting
it
it out of
down.
your head, getting it
Yeah.
out of your
Yeah.
head onto paper, posting it and seeing it, right? So when you can see it, now all of a sudden you're more likely to do it on that. So it could be affirmations, it could be to-dos, right? And all of these things, like literally, I am right here with my journal, like this is my journal, and it's real simple. The prompts each and every morning, real simple on that. Gratitude, prayers or intentions, my big five focus of the day, my health, wealth, and energy score for today, and how am I going to maximize my impact today? This is a couple
Love
simple
that.
prompts. Those
Mhm.
prompts, I spend 3 minutes doing that, right? And then I have my evening journal, like that's now, and it's real simple. And I can look back and say, okay, I won the day, I lost the day. Some days you're going to lose, some days you're going to win. We want to have more winning days than losing days. But I find when we can, and you guys talk about this all the time, but when you can win the mornings and you can really take control, even if it's 20 minutes and you can win and control the things you control, your day is more likely to be a success if you can do that. So journaling is one way to do that, some prayer, meditation, and then obviously moving, some form of moving, whether you're going to the gym, you're doing the home gym, you're doing a yoga class, whatever it may be, but moving really changes that whole physiology. Now you're talking body, mind, and soul changes.
Yeah,
Hmm.
yeah. Yeah, and I love that you pointed out like the morning and evening journaling because that's when our brain waves like we're coming out of that delta into the theta. We don't want to jump right into beta in the morning and then kind of the opposite at night. Like our brain is so sensitive to that and I'm totally guilty. There's some mornings where I get up and I check my email and if there's like an email that I'm like, that annoys me or whatever, I can feel the spiral of the day start. And I'm like, oh, if I
I
had just
totally get
waited an
it.
hour, if I just waited an hour to read that email, it'd have been totally different.
Hmm.
Um,
Hmm.
yeah. So
Yeah.
the morning and evening, kind of like the, uh,
Set the
You know,
tone.
yeah.
what's what's interesting about that, Renee, is I actually didn't do evening journaling till a couple of years ago. I wasn't sleeping well, and I was doing every hack in the book to try to improve my sleep. I'm talking the ones you talk all the time: lavender on the pillow, hot baths, you name it. I was doing it, and I wasn't sleeping good. And then I started journaling in the evening, and I'm not saying that like all of a sudden I was sleeping really good, but I started to adopt that practice, and I created this evening journaling. And the prompts are: what are two things that happened that I accomplished today? What could I have done better today? How did I most create wow today? And then I evaluate my whole day on the health, wealth, and energy assessment. And I finish with gratitude again. Why? That means I bookend my days with starting gratitude and finishing gratitude. The whole purpose of the evening gratitude was to try to get everything out of my head so that I wasn't taking it onto the pillow. Because if
Hmm.
I'm constantly thinking about all the things I could have done or I did or that I have to do tomorrow and it's in my head, then it affects my sleep. And I did that as a tactic because I wasn't sleeping, which that's a whole nother story. But journaling to this day still is one of my hacks that I use to try to get a more peaceful and restful sleep.
Yes,
Yeah.
such a great strategy, a good brain dump. I'm with you. We don't want to take that into our sleep. That's very cool. So I'm
Yeah.
curious, you've worked with a ton of athletes, you're an athlete yourself, and I'm always curious for I guess I'm kind of like a little bit of an athlete. I was a Broadway dancer, so I have trained like an athlete, but for the average health consumer, I'm always curious, how can we adopt the mindset of an athlete, even if we are not an athlete? Because I think they really show us our true potential, but we don't train the
Mm,
same way. We don't think the same way, but I still think we should be conditioning ourselves in the same realm if we can. What's the kind
yeah.
of the difference in the way that athletes think versus, I don't want to say the average person, but the average health consumer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Laura, that's a good question. You know, it's interesting in working with elite athletes for 20 plus years, and these are some of the best athletes in the world in NFL and Major League Baseball and in UFC. I just had the opportunity to work with some of these men and even some women as well in the professional ranks. I honestly don't find that there's much difference between a quote athlete and a non-athlete in the sense of I always call it train the Joes like the pros. Like I think there's a lot of athletes that you watch on TV and you'd be shocked to see how much they beat themselves up, how down they are,
Mm.
how much they struggle with coming to the gym and thinking, oh, they make millions of dollars. It's easy for them to work out. You're like, no, it's not. They got the same
Mm.
issues at home that most other people have. They have family issues, challenges, struggles. They have things going on. So it's the ability to compartmentalize. And when you got to turn it on and flip the switch, that's where guys like I come in and coaches that are like, here's what we have to do. So I do a lot of life coaching with them. I have them do the planning I would do with all of my high performing clients that are non athletes. To me, regardless of what one does for a living or what gifts one has been blessed with, it's how do we maximize our gifts and how do we really set up our days and our routines and our habits so that we can get into dream world and dreamland. And even right now in December, as I'm working on my strategic plan and what I'm advising people do is work on your plan for 2025 now. Work on your life plan now. It's the dreams that allow us to really get to the next level. Whether that is you want to be the best player in the NFL, as Drew Brees told me and LaDainian Thomas told me back in the day, all the way to the guys who are playing right now, guys like Jordan Love and Brett Rippon in the NFL, to the regular 90% of the people who I work with, the everyday high performers, moms and dads, who are like, man, I'm trying to survive, but I want to take my life to another level of success financially or relationally. Okay, well, let's look at our 10 forms of wealth and 3 and 30 and set some goals, but we got to start and reverse engineer from the big, where do we want to be in 3 years or 10 years? And let's reverse engineer that down into the right now in December 2024. What do we need to do with our physicality, our spirituality, with our career, with our finances, with our adventure, with our impact, our legacy, all of these things we should be every month, and that's the system I use and employ every month, be working on that so it's more specific. That's what an athlete does. They have a game plan and they try to execute it. Many people go through life without a game plan. They just show up and hope that things get better. To me, as an athlete, I'm like, I need a game plan. The game plan is going to change it. You know, you're gonna make some audibles and you're gonna adapt some things here. Or life throws curveballs at you, no doubt about it. But for me, the athlete mentality is someone that anyone can adopt. And you say, well, you know, you're not an athlete, man. Like those athletes couldn't be a Broadway dancer either. Like, but the mindset is how do I become the best in the world at what I do? Or how do I become the best version of me that I can possibly be? How do I max out my potential? I think every man, woman, boy, girl, that's what we want is how do I get the gifts that have been bestowed in me? How do I maximize them and take them to as far as I can take them?
Mm.
Yeah, we need a plan. I'm thinking of
Game
an
plan.
older male client that I have. He's always like, Lauren, we need a playbook. Do you know football? I'm like, yeah, I know football. He's like, we need a playbook. I'm like, all right. We're gonna make a playbook. I got
There
Oh,
you
you.
that's
go.
so good. That's so good. It's funny you said that about like Broadway performers, Lauren. You are an athlete. And when I used to do ballet in Tampa, I remember every once in a while the Bucks would come in and take a ballet class. And they all were like, this is so hard.
It's a different
Right.
It's
skill.
different skills. I'm like, I couldn't do it. You do.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Correct. I love
So
it.
Todd, something you had mentioned at the very beginning of the episode about we have to be a little bit selfish with our time through the holidays. Like I think so we have this game plan, we have all these things we want to do, but how do we prioritize our stuff? I don't know if it sounds selfish or not, over all the other things. Like how do we say no to other people, to too many events? How do we draw the line?
You say no to
Food.
other people and events that you can't do. Like you get better at
It's so
saying no,
hard.
which it is hard. I'm the worst at. I'm the youngest of 8 kids. I can't say no to anything. I've got 50 different things going on. I can't say no because I want to please everyone. I try to please everyone, which is a
Yes.
really bad trait of mine.
I'm
But
a
I've
people
also learned
pleaser as
this.
well.
100%. And that's, I always say when I talk to the folks that are like in their teens or high school, I'm like, don't try to please everyone because you'll please nobody and you won't please yourself. Because as you get older, what I learn is if you're no good, then you're no good. And in order to be good, you have to be selfish, even if it's for 1 hour a day. You have to prioritize you. And the one thing that I personally have gotten better at because I'm still that way to try to please people is I'm getting my time in 1 hour a day. This is me time. I'm going to put my headphones on. I'm not going to be listening to anyone else. I'm going to get my time because I know this. If I'm at my best, then I can go serve other people at a much higher level than if I don't get that time in. I call it my holy hour, and my holy hour in the mornings I get my holy hour in, I'm good. If I don't, I'm frazzled. I got angst. I got like low level anxiety if I don't. If I take that time, that's good. And I say that only because I encourage each of you listening in to get your time to be a little more selfish. Here's what I find most people treat their dogs better than they treat themselves. People will do
Yeah.
anything for their kids. People do anything for their kids. I mean, they'll come and hire trainers for their kids but they're not even healthy themselves because they put everyone else before them. That's why I always liken it to like, yo, put your oxygen mask on first and then put it on those of your family members. But most people don't put their oxygen mask on. Most people don't prioritize their own health, their own sanity, their own mentality. They're taking care of everyone else and they're tired, exhausted, burnt out. And before you know it, they're overweight. They feel like garbage. They're depressed. And then it's like, you got to do this complete turnaround, which is difficult to do. So it's not wrong to be a little selfish for an hour a day to prioritize you. You're actually doing your family members, loved ones, and colleagues a favor.
Yeah.
Yeah. I can feel the difference with that.
That's funny. I'm
Yeah.
thinking I make my dog a organic grass-fed beef gourmet breakfast before I do anything for myself.
100%, Lauren. I get it. I totally get it. Right. Like, but we have to remind ourselves of that. It's so true. It's so true. It's again, that's why you guys like with the podcast, it reminds people of things they know. Everyone knows this, but they get in a habit. It's a habit of just putting everyone else first and me last. And again, I'm not saying we all should put ourselves first all day long and we're not narcissistic people that are serving ourselves. I'm saying is if you're no good, then you're no good. And we've got to be
Mm.
good. And we deserve that time to get some movement in or to really do some meditation or yoga or breath work or some cold plunging and to nurture ourselves. Like when I joke about the dog thing, Lauren, but the truth is, and I've got a 10-year-old golden retriever, man, that dog he gets treated well by our family. I'm sometimes like, man, I want to be my dog. Right? Like,
Oh, for sure. I want to
Yeah.
be the dog.
Yeah.
right. It's like, oh my gosh. So I think just
Uh,
sometimes, up to an hour a day of just, better love for ourselves. And I don't know if that's respect for ourselves. I don't know if that's just
mm.
prioritizing our health and our mindset, but more self-care is always a good thing for our body, minds, and our souls.
Yeah, we can
Yeah.
give back more if we fill up the tank first.
100%.
So, on that
Always.
same
Yeah.
topic, in the holidays, when there's more of a squeeze on the schedule, when it comes to exercise, I know like a personal thought of mine, when I get busier, sometimes the recovery parts of the workouts will slip off and I'll like just get in the hard stuff. How do we kind of manage both the hard training, whether it be strength training, cardio versus more recovery modalities, mobility, the stuff that we know we're supposed to do both of when there's a squeeze on the schedule?
Yeah, it comes down to the schedule again, your plan, the game plan we talked about earlier on. Like, how do you create a game plan? So every Sunday, I do something called W lags. It's a form of journaling, but it's a really important aspect. And I share it with all whom I coach, and I share it with my team at Todd Durkin Enterprises. I share it with my entire team. Why? Is because this is my plan for the week. This is what I'm doing. And it's not just workouts, it's everything. W lag stands for wins, losses, aha moments from the past week. What are my wins from the last week? What are my losses from the past week? And what were my aha moments from the last week? And here are my goals for the upcoming week. And I might have 5 to 10 goals that I must accomplish this week. And there are going to be some personal goals in there as well as professional goals. The personal goals, to answer your question, are going to come down to the things I must do and when I'm going to do it, what time I'm going to do it at. That's why it goes into the scheduler when it goes into the planner. And the planner's like, at 6 a.m. or whatever time, I'm going to work out from 6 to 7, my holy hour. And if I commit and do what's on my plan, it's going to work. If I leave it to happen chance, it ain't going to work. It won't happen. I'm going to get busy. I'm going to look at the text. Like one of my rules I have, and I have 13 rules. One of my rules is my first rule: don't turn the phone on first thing in the morning.
Mm-hmm.
That's my first rule. Because as soon as I turn my phone on, I get anxiety. Like all
Yeah.
the texts coming through and DMs and social media. And next thing I know, I just blew 40 minutes of stupidity on that. And I just lost my hour. My
Hmm.
hour. Like that was my time that I just looked at just everything that was nothing that served me that I can really be better at. So I created these little rules, but to have the plan once again for your week and commit to whatever time, whether it's 6 a.m. or 6 p.m., you're going to work out. Answer that question as far as like the recovery side. That's where the plan comes in. Like I know I have to have an outgoing of working out to get rid of all the angst that builds up from all the stress that's going on out there. But to counter that, as we age is something that we need even more recovery with. And again, I keep saying ice baths or saunas or compression, massage, body work. All of these things are different forms of recovery on that. You've got to build in what works for you, what you have access to, whether it be at home or at the gym or at a facility near you. But it comes down to the plan again of how much do you need to recover and are you putting in body work? Like that was my first career before I got into training. I was a massage therapist and body worker, and I'm a big believer in hands-on body work from the recovery standpoint, as well as from the human touch standpoint. So are you getting that once a week or once a month? But you need to be getting some form of body work on a somewhat regular basis. Maybe it's stretching, like one-on-one manual stretching. All of these things now are accessible in most communities across our country.
Hmm. Yeah. Yeah. I will say for me, like I schedule my workouts 1 week out. And it's so helpful, but I'm also flexible in knowing that like, okay, if I scheduled my hit workout for that day and I wake up and my sleep wasn't optimal, my HRV is down, I'm like, okay, I can replace that time I scheduled with something more like a recovery and mobility. So like having some
Absolutely.
flexibility there, but the plan, it's on the calendar. You can't miss that time. It's there.
She's good with
Yeah.
her calendars. She's got
You
her
know,
list
that's a
together.
good point, is listening to your body. Listening to your body is important. Sometimes you have to listen to it, and sometimes you got to flick the little birdie off your shoulder that says, "Ah, you're tired, you're sore," like suck it up, buttercup kind of thing.
Yeah.
You got to make sure that you're at least looking at your HRV or your sleep scores potentially if you track sleep to see did you get adequate sleep. Like with my high level athletes, I'm constantly monitoring that all the way down to what are they drinking. Like, are they dehydrated? Do they have a couple glasses of wine the night before? Because I always say for every alcoholic drink you have, it's going to take your soft tissue a day to recover for every drink you have. That means if you had 2 drinks, I got to be careful of not pushing you on the field and doing sprint work because you're in a dehydrated state and you're going to pull a hammy or get hurt. So we look
Mm.
at every aspect on the recovery side, but some days you got to push and some days you got to almost change and modify your plan because if it's a high intensity day and you slept for 4.5 hours and you feel like garbage, well, you're not going to get much out of that workout. That doesn't mean do nothing, but it might mean doing a brisk walk and getting some meditation and breath work and really empowering the inside, which makes you feel better. And again, you change your physiology, changes that psychology again. So it's that
Yeah.
constant looking at how you recovered and where you at.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
benefit to having a coach like you that's overseeing the metrics. But I think for, the average person with this explosion of wearables and data, it really comes down to the personality. Like, how do you respond to that data? And that, because then if you're just making the choice on your own, it can be a lot of pressure.
100%.
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah.
No, it is
And you
100%.
can't
But that's
just
why
like have the alcohol the night before and then the next day say, "Oh, okay, I didn't recover, so now I'm not going to work out." Like it's not a free pass. That should be a learning lesson.
yeah, I
Yeah.
always say to our guys, you're not 18 anymore. You can't recover. can't recover like you used to recover. And when you get
Yeah.
into your 30s, 40s, 50s or above, like it takes, you got the sleep, all of the different ways that you can recover are going to allow you to feel just more refreshed, more vibrant, more focused with your mind. You don't have that brain fog going all the time. Obviously, that
Hmm.
goes into nutrition, right? And I won't go on that whole tangent, but everything from what you're eating, whether it's going to cloud your mind up, and if it's full of gluten and inflammatory type foods, now all of a sudden, if you're not maximizing your nutrition and supplementation, then you're not going to be able to maximize your performance, whatever that means to you, whether it's dance, whether it's football, whether it's fitness. So all of these come to play. And here's what I realize: it doesn't matter how long you've been doing this game. It comes down to how good you are every day. Like, what can we do today, this month of December, as this podcast drops? Like, what can you do today to win this month? Just don't build excuses like, you know what, it's a busy time, I'm going to wait till January. No, that's not a winning attitude. Like, how about it's a busy month, but I'm going to prioritize myself for 30 minutes a day, 5 days a week. I'm going to do something every day. I'm going to get my friend Sally or Bill, and we're going to go for a walk. And at the end of the walk, you feel better. So what do? You drop down, you do some push-ups and squats. Next thing you know, it's 40, 45 minutes. You feel like $1,000,000, and then you go deal with the day, because the day is going to be there. Every darn day is going to be there. It ain't going to get easier. But if you work out, you're going to feel a lot better. So just get moving.
Hmm. Hmm.
Yeah. Yeah. It's like the best hack for mental wellness. Just
100%.
move your body, move your body.
Yeah.
So I'm curious with nutrition, we don't have to spend too much time on this topic, but like any basic recommendations that we can learn from the professional athletes? Like I think Tom Brady has kind of made a good push for like anti-inflammatory diet, like no alcohol, and people are like, "Oh, wait, what? Like that makes a difference in recovery?" Like what should we be doing during the holidays in
Yeah.
that sense?
Yeah. I guess it depends on how serious someone wants to get, right? Lauren's like, let's go, Todd.
Yeah.
Let's go, Todd.
That's down the
Um,
rabbit hole. Come on.
right. It comes down to really how serious does one want to get now, not in January. I'm like, why wait? Why wait until a certain date? Like, how about now? And saying, I want to be different than everyone else. I'm not just going to start, because I got all these parties, I'm just going to tank. But when it comes to nutrition, let me just start with the real basics. Most people are dehydrated. Like, oh, this isn't sexy, like water, here we go. But the
Yeah.
bottom line is, if you're dehydrated, nothing else matters, including if you got back pain or knee pain, or you've been through all this before, then even dehydration could play a massive role in how you feel, your energy, the viscosity between the discs in your back and your knees. I
Hmm.
mean, are you having half your body weight in fluid ounces of water or not? If you're not, then you need to start to increase your water intake. And if you're drinking a lot of coffee and alcohol, that even further dehydrates you. And most people are walking around in a dehydrated state. So I always start with everyone with are you dehydrated or not? We need to rehydrate you and make sure that you're hydrated properly. That's number one. Number two is,
Yeah.
I love working with naturopathic doctors. They got all the allopathic doctors, but naturopathic doctors, let's look at your blood work. Let's find out really where are you at and see. I mean, are you gluten sensitive or not? Maybe you need to go gluten free. Drew Brees used to train at 220 pounds. When I had him tested, all of a sudden now he'd come in at 195, 200. And this is a pro NFL quarterback coming in 20 pounds less, because he really got serious with gluten free, dairy free, not just because you want to be gluten free, dairy free, because he was allergic to it. That was making him inflammatory. And I say, Drew, all my athletes will get tested on that. And all my clients, I'll encourage them to get tested with either a nutritionist or a naturopathic doctor, so they can do that. Myself, every 6 months, I'm getting tested to see where am I at, where am I weak at, on that. So I would encourage anyone who wants to be serious with that to visit someone who can get their blood drawn, and then go see a naturopathic doctor or a physician or nutritionist who can guide you based on your blood work. And then you can really make some big changes there. But hydration, decreasing sugars, like all the cookies floating around here soon. Man, I don't know
It's
about y'all,
crazy.
but the cookies and chocolate covered almonds, they speak to me. They're like we have conversations. Like I'm looking at the chocolate covered almonds in the can. I'm like,
Todd.
I'm telling my wife, I'm like, Why do you keep bringing these in the house? They talk to me. And it's like,
Oh,
Todd,
I'm
you
the
had a good
same
day.
way. Chocolate covered almonds. God, there's just
That's my
too much.
downfall. Like, stop.
Yeah,
Don't even
yeah.
think about it, Lauren. Don't even think about it. But I'm like, my goodness gracious.
Uh,
But so
yeah,
don't bring the sugars in the house, or when you're around
yeah.
cookies. Here's the other hack. Here's the other hack. Increase your protein. This is what I do. I love dessert. So I don't eat dessert. What I have is a protein shake, because protein satiates your appetite where you don't crave sugar. So by increasing your protein intake, try to get a gram per pound of body weight of protein after dinner, before I can even start to really crave sugar. I have a protein shake with just almond milk, 2 scoops of protein, and that typically satiates that craving for sugar. If you are someone who craves sugar, up your protein intake, especially if you can identify when in a day that you start to crave sugar. Increase your protein intake right before that, and watch what happens. You won't crave sugar like the way I crave sugar or you crave sugar. So that's a little hack that I
Yeah.
use that has been beneficial, because otherwise, if those almonds, oh, just have one handful. Not a good plan.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Watch
No,
out, watch out.
that almond
Yeah.
was designed to hijack your brain. It's gonna win
Amen.
every
Amen.
time. And
Uh,
Every time.
I find that my clients that are intermittent fasters, the ones that are just like pushing off their first meal, sometimes it's done strategically, but a lot of the people are just skipping breakfast, maybe skipping lunch, have the sugar cravings because they're not getting nutrients. So
mm.
Yep.
their brain is like, feed me.
Yeah,
So the
yeah.
That's
protein
exactly
is
right.
so essential. I love that. I love that tip.
Yeah.
Those are a
One
couple
one
points.
thing I use, Kion essential amino acids. They have a powder form and they have like a watermelon and a mango, and I think it's delicious. If I get a sweet craving, I take 1 scoop and I just put it right in my mouth, and it cuts any sweet craving. It's
That's
crazy.
savage.
And and
That's
and what
savage,
is it?
Savage.
Renee.
And what is that? I'm gonna write that one down. What is it? Key and what?
Yeah, Kion is the brand. It's just
Yeah,
essential amino acids. So
got it.
protein again, it's just like 5 grams.
Yep, yep,
But
yep.
it's almost a little bitter. I don't know how to
Not a
describe.
little. It's bitter. Don't be fooled. This is not a sweet treat.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, it's not sweet. It's not sweet, but it has a little bit of that fruit flavor. And I mean, you could mix it in water and probably it would work the same. But I just put the scoop right on my tongue, and
Well,
Lauren thinks I'm crazy.
but here's the thing: if you get a
Works.
sweet tooth, you look at your past meal, right? And typically, like, I'm originally from New Jersey, so I love pasta. If you have pasta or you have a carbohydrate rich meal, it's sugar. You're gonna crave more sugar. It sets your body up for sugar. So that's where years ago I started, really learning about macros and how we can use protein as the antithesis of all the sugar cravings. Because if you're having a lot of carbs, you're going to be craving sugars, more and more of it. So I like that, Renee. I'll have to check that
Yeah.
one out. So
Yeah, let me
that's
know how
good.
it goes.
I like it.
Yeah, yeah. Plus, I think the more you eat sugar, the more you crave it. So it's like sometimes you
100%.
just have to cut it for like 3 days and then it's gone. Like I
Mhm.
was just in Hawaii for a friend's birthday, and man, like there was birthday dessert every night, and I'm just like having a couple bites every night. I come back to Vegas and I have my normal healthy dinner, protein, veggies, and I'm looking for a dessert. I'm like, what is happening in my brain? And so I just
Yeah.
had to cut it out, and now I don't think about it. But yeah, so sometimes just cold
Absolutely.
turkey.
And that goes
Great.
back to what you were saying earlier about like December here, with all the holiday parties going on, and the plucking with the cookies and the cakes and everything happening, the wine. On that is, you almost have to set those goals again of, I'm only once a week or twice a week I'm gonna have a glass of wine, versus every night I'm only having, I hear this, I'm only having 2 glasses of wine a night. I'm like, 2 glasses a night, like that's a lot every night if
A
you're doing
lot.
that. Like, if you're looking to get really like dialed in with your health and your nutrition.
Yeah,
Mhm.
that's a lot. That's a lot.
It's a
Yeah.
lot.
So having boundaries and structure, I think you hit it on the head at the very beginning. And I'm just thinking, I've had clients that sign up for programs now, like in November, and they're like, why did I do this with the holidays? I'm like, yeah, this is the best thing for you to do because we're going to have structure. Don't wait. As you
Yeah.
said, don't
Structure.
wait.
Structure is
Yeah.
key. Love it.
Yeah.
So, Todd, I would love for you to share a little bit about your story with pain.
Mm.
Because
You sure?
I don't know, do
Yeah.
we want to call it a beautiful lesson or teacher or an
Teacher,
annoying pain in the butt?
both.
I'll tell
Um,
you what I'll do. Thank you for that. I'll keep it brief, and then if you have more questions, feel free to dive in because it's a long story. I just wrote a book on it actually. It's called True Strength. But in 1995, I actually ended my football career, my professional football career, due to a serious back injury. 3 herniated discs, spinal stenosis, degenerative back disease left me motionless on a football field in Aix-en-Provence, France. I was 25 years old, and I was really always wanted to be an NFL athlete, and I knew right then that my career was done. Interesting enough, um, to me, while my goal was to always be an NFL quarterback, I believe that the big man up top had a different dream for me and desire and purpose for me because the better part of my career, I've been actually serving NFL quarterbacks as a trainer and coach to over a dozen of the top quarterbacks in the last 20 years. Um, I was meant to be more of a coach than I guess the athlete. Fast forward to 2020. My back pain, I didn't have surgery. My back pain has always been my thermostat to stress. If stress is high, my back lets me know. I
Mm.
think all of us have different thermostats. Might be, might be your back, might be other aspects, your neck. But pain sometimes comes through stress levels, and stress comes through pain. But in 2020, forget what happened in 2020. I forget. There was something. Oh, the pandemic.
Hmm.
Something in the
I
world.
Oh, I
blocked
don't
it out. I
remember.
blocked it out. I
I don't
blocked it.
remember.
I blocked
Distant
it out.
memory.
Distant memory. But interesting enough, what happened was as a gym owner and as someone who coaches, I have a mastermind group with a couple hundred trainers that own fitness businesses around the country. Um, I felt this calling to save our fitness industry. And I would tell them that, hey, get on my back, get on my back. We got this. This is a blessing. Get on my back. Well, I said that for months and months. I actually went live on Instagram every day until my gym opened back up. I thought it'd be 2 or 3 weeks, but 91 days later, I'm still live every day, 7 days a week. And I'm like dying. I'm drowning in pain and that. Well, I actually end up having my second knee replacement surgery in December 2020. And then 6 weeks later, my back had such excruciating pain in it that I went to the doctor, and the doctor looked at my back. He said, "Did you serve in Afghanistan? Like, your back looks like a bomb went off in it." I said, "I wish I
Mm.
could say I did serve, but no, I didn't." He said, "Well, you need to see a back deformity specialist." I went and saw the back deformity specialist, and by the seventh doctor I finally saw, they said I needed a 14-hour back surgery. I'm like, 14-hour back surgery? Here I am trying to serve the world and put all this good out into the world, and he's telling me I need to take a year off from my life, and I can't travel, and I can't go do keynotes, and I can't train, and I can't do all these things. And I had been preaching for 20 something years about health and fitness and get your mind right. I had just come out with a book called Get Your Mind Right in 2020. It was my like signature book, Get Your Mind Right. And here, Mr. Get Your Mind Right, my mind wasn't right. My body wasn't right. I'm a trainer, I'm a coach, and my body's a wreck. I had my second knee replacement, my back pain. I need a 14-hour surgery. I didn't even know you could do a 14-hour surgery. I'm like, how do you do a 14-hour surgery?
What are you
They're
doing
like,
during that time? Yeah, that's
well,
crazy.
what he told me is we do 7 hours one day, we roll you back up. The next day, we roll you back down and do another 7 hours. I'm like, are you
Mm.
reconstructing my back? He said, yeah, we are. And if you were to see a picture of my back, you'd understand. Well, again, I'll fast forward to a lot of soul searching, a lot of physical pain. When you're in physical pain, y'all know it affects every aspect of your being. And here I am, felt a responsibility to the world and those who I serve and those who I coach. I didn't want to tell anyone my back pain because I don't want to become my back pain. Hey, Todd, how's your back? How's your back? How's your back? How's your back? You become your back. I don't want to become my back again like I was 25 years ago. So I'm just like, I'm not going to tell anyone but my closest people. I'm going to strap up my back brace. I'm going to go in there and train people because that's the only thing that brought me joy was when I'm training people. And from 2020 to 2023, guys, I I created more stuff in this time because I was trying to serve my pain. Like the journal I was telling you about, I created my own journal because I was journaling more than I ever have. And I created all this stuff I was journaling. I created a journal. I had my Get Your Mind Right book. I wrote another book in 2022 called What's Next. Like I was creating all this stuff because I'm like, number one, I might die and I got to get everything out of my head that I need to. And two is like when you're in pain, you serve and you either serve the person you used to be, or you serve your pain. And I was serving both because I needed to serve people because it made me feel good that I was serving people because I was in a lot of pain. Like I couldn't move, I couldn't work out. And here's a guy who never missed workouts. Now I couldn't work out. I couldn't sleep on my back. I couldn't sleep on my stomach. I couldn't sleep on my right side. I could only sleep on my left side with a pillow between my knees. And I wasn't really getting much sleep. And I didn't know why, other than I was in pain. I couldn't do anything. And next thing I know, about a year and a half into that pain, my pain went away. I never had surgery. Like to this day, I haven't had surgery. If you see a picture of my back, you're like, impossible. It is impossible. I don't know how. I can't tell you. When you talk about biohacking, I've done stem cells. I've done every kind of therapy you could have. I've seen so many different doctors. But when I say quarterback your own health, as a former quarterback and someone who works with quarterbacks, I'm like, I'm going to try to do everything I can and not have surgery. Someday I'll need surgery, but I'm going to do everything I can to avoid surgery. And I was able to avoid that surgery to this day. I work out every day, most days of the week anyway. And pain has taught me a lot. Pain coming out the other side, actually, some of those biggest burdens became some of my biggest blessings. And what I'm focusing on now with my new fitness and coaching franchise and everything I'm doing is because of the path that I traveled going through hell. And I say that in a way that it was hell. 2020, 21, and 22 was hell. Like I know pain. I have had so many concussions and sprains and strains from football and everything else. It was a really dark place. And I had, again, an optimist. I'm a really positive guy. I tasted hell. Like I tasted it.
Mm.
And I think it was a blessing from above because I know why. Because on the other side of that, some of you have your biggest blessings on the other side of your biggest burdens. And I feel very, very thankful and grateful now that I'm through it. And that's my journey through
Wow.
pain. And pain has been a big teacher to me. And now I'm teaching a lot when I'm doing my keynotes and doing my podcasts, like with you guys, is like I'm sharing this authentically because I find there's a lot of people in pain that, like myself, don't want to talk about it because you don't want to become it because
Yeah.
you're always in pain and you start popping pills, or you start doing stupid things, or you drink more, or whatever the drug of choice is going to be to help you get through that time. And I know all of that. I mean, I get it. I understand it. And I'm now preaching about it.
Mm. Thank you
Thank
for
you.
sharing that.
Yeah, really, really
Mm.
incredible. I've had that too,
Yeah.
not needing a 14-hour back surgery, but I've had plenty of back pain. And same thing. I think pain has been such a great teacher.
Mm,
And I think if we can get curious, because a lot of people run from pain, try to mask pain, avoid pain. But if you can
yeah.
listen to it, I'm just curious, like on a spiritual, mental, emotional level, how did you really get to know it and listen to it?
Mm. Thanks for asking that question, Lauren. I'm a man of faith. And going through this, I was so close to God because I was praying more than I've ever prayed. Like, God, I'm all yours. Like, if you want
Mm.
me, take me. I'm good. I'm ready to roll if you want to, because I can't keep this up. I can't keep going. And there's a story in my book, the True Strength book, where I was in, I didn't want to go on this trip, but my son had just graduated high school. And we went on a family trip to Mexico. I did not want to go to this. I was in a lot of pain. And I woke up at 2:36 in the morning one day and I crawled into the bathroom and I started crying. My wife said, "What are you doing?" I said, "Take me to the ER." She's like, "We're in Mexico. We can't go to the ER." I'm
Oh
like,
God.
"Take me to the ER. I need surgery." This is like, I'd already been told I needed surgery. Now I knew I needed it. She's like, "We're not going. We're not going in Mexico to the ER." I'm like, "Take me now." She came in and she held my head and said, "Listen," she prayed with me. And it was there that I just gave up. I'm like, I, I don't know where this is going, but it's really bad. Um, Faith has always been a part of my life, but it really deepened in 2020 and through this whole experience, to the point where when I finally came out of it, I realized that God was just using me for this message right here for people who are in pain, physically, mentally, emotionally, or spiritually, whatever pain is. Pain is pain, that it can become a blessing. But now my mission in life, be the light, went from I want to serve 10 million people to I want to serve 100 million people. I don't know how I'm going to reach 100 million people, guys. I don't. I just know this. I'm sharing the story that happened to me and through my Impact X Performance franchise and what I'm doing now. We've got 7 locations. We're soon going to be at 20 and then 100. We're going to grow and be lighthouses all over the country. Like that wasn't my mission before 2020. I didn't have this mission to go out and be the light and do all these things. I wanted one great gym. I wanted people to come here. Now it's like, nope, I'm going to serve and we're going to go out and be the light. All the darkness out there, we're going to extinguish all the darkness. And it was all of that. My faith deepened and God used me in a way that I didn't want to be used initially until I said, I'm all yours. I can't do this myself anymore. Either take me or use me. And now I, everything, Matthew 5, it talks about be the light. That's my driving mission is I don't know who I'm going to talk to today on this podcast, who's listening in, who might be in pain. I know you guys do this, Lauren and Renee, all the time and do such a wonderful job. But when you can really tap into your deepest divine purpose, I think then there's a great gift inside each of us, men and women, boys and girls, that we can be the light.
Mm. You are the
I love
light.
that.
I feel the
Mm-hmm.
light. I can feel it
Mm-hmm.
through Zoom.
Thank you.
Yeah.
The
Thank
crazy
you.
part is, the crazy part about all this is when all this was going on, I wasn't sleeping. And it wasn't until 2023, 3.5 years in, I realized I had a sleep issue. And I got diagnosed with sleep apnea. So all this was happening with sleep apnea. And that was really the end of this 3.5 year period because I'm sure you guys have talked about it, before, but just to bring the story full circle is that diagnosis I am so thankful for because that was kind of the end of the escapade of going through all this. Because once I started getting treated for sleep apnea, a light bulb went off and I started getting downloads of the whole that was May of 2023. I started getting downloads of like this franchise concept that I was going to do. And for 6 months, I was journaling like mad. And my vision for the rest of 2023 was all about like what God wanted me to do with my life to serve others. And early in 2024, earlier this year, I launched Impact X Performance, where we're combining faith, fitness, recovery, and life coaching. Those are our 4 pillars. I would have never, and like faith, by the way, you have to be a faith? No, like you don't. We have everyone here. Like we have Muslim, Jewish, atheist, agnostic. But if someone wants more faith, they have the option to opt in. But it's fitness and recovery. The opt in on the faith side, if someone wants that or is in pain or really needs some prayer or just wants some fellowship time, men and women, then they can have that if they want it. They don't need it. And then the life coaching. So those were my 4 pillars that was downloaded through all of this after the sleep apnea diagnosis. I look back now, I'm like, how did all this happen? Like, how did all this happen? And I guess to me, it's God's using me right now to say, hey, are you going to be obedient or not? At the end of the day, hop in those pearly gates. Well done, good and faithful servant. Or man, I had so much in you that you just shunned away from the pain. You didn't even embrace the pain. I had so many things planned for you, and you just continue to fight it and never embraced it. And I'm just trying to be obedient.
Mm.
So
I
much
mean,
opportunity.
you're bringing so much awareness. I mean, just the sleep apnea story alone, like I'm sure people have heard your story and that has, pushed them to go get tested. And so you were dealing with chronic pain, which Jack Delaccio, the founder of Essentia Mattress, he said chronic pain is the number one reason people don't sleep. I don't know where sleep apnea would be on that list. Maybe competing at number one or number two, but you were battling both. So you were depriving your body of all those hours of rejuvenation and healing. That is a tough battle to get through.
Renee, when I got diagnosed with that, I was actually relieved because
I know that feeling.
I
Know that
felt this
feeling, yeah.
like in my gut. I was like, no one understands. Something's wrong with me, but I don't know what it is. I'm just exhausted. I'm burnt out. And I'm a guy who's like, I thrive on passion and energy and positivity. And I was at my bones exhausted. When I went to my allopathic doctors, they're like, Todd, there's a pandemic going on. You can't do what you do. You can't do this. And I just felt like
That's
no,
not
there's
it.
something else going on. And it wasn't until I was informed to go get this sleep apnea test. I'm like, what's sleep apnea? That's for old guys like that are overweight. I don't need that. And she was like, no, 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 no. You trust me. I have Navy SEALs who are in their 30s that have it. I'm like, really? She's like, get tested. I know you have it. And it was this sense of relief when I got diagnosed because I'm like, I didn't know if I had some autoimmune disease. I didn't, something wasn't right, but I didn't know what it was. And then I'm like, I would have never in 100 years thought I'd have sleep apnea. And when I got diagnosed, I was like, oh my God, thank God. If I can get this corrected and get back to feeling like me again, okay, watch out. And all of that happened in between, to your point, Renee, is yeah, all of that was going on between my second knee replacement, my back injury, trying to get through the pandemic, a business transaction, because I had to let go of some of my gym business because I'm like, I might not be here very long because I'm about to die.
Hmm.
And then sleep apnea. I'm like, this is crazy. A 3.5 year period I put into my book, the True Strength book, because I'm like, if I don't write this out, I'll never remember all this because it's too crazy of a story.
Mm.
Mm.
So do you
Thank
use
you
a
for sharing
CPAP
that.
Yep.
now?
Every night when
Mm.
I travel a lot. I bring that thing with me. I have like the CPAP club, like now in the planes, like you see everyone walking in. Like I never knew that. I
Oh,
just thought it was a briefcase. Now it's like, what's up? Like
oh, that's so
everywhere I go,
funny.
I have that CPAP. I don't have I think in a year and a half, I think I missed 2 nights because it got lost on a plane or something like that. But
Oh
yeah, I
no.
use it every night.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well,
Game
thank you for sharing
changer.
your story. Our dad's a biological dentist and he practices sleep medicine. And it's just sharing this awareness that it's not just for old
Interesting.
people. A lot of people have
It's
it, so
not.
many different reasons you could have it. So it's so important to understand the why. But yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
Your story alone inspires so many.
Yeah, I can't help get tested. Even if you're just feeling exhausted, tired, you don't know why, or your wife or husband says, you sleep all the time, and you stop breathing in the middle of the night. Like my wife would tell me that, and I'd be like, honey, I'm just trying to be polite. I'm trying to be quiet. Like,
Mm-hmm.
no. When I
Yeah.
got tested, they told me I stopped breathing that night 120 times for
Mm.
between 20 to 52 seconds. I'm like, wait, I stopped breathing
Wow.
120 times for 20 to 52 seconds. The doctor said, imagine putting a brick over your head in your pool and treading water for 6 hours and 10 minutes. That's how much I slept that night. Get out and tell me how you feel. I'm like, that's exactly how I feel every night. No, I
Mm-hmm.
feel like I've been through hell every night. She's like, yeah, that's why you have sleep apnea, and we can do something about that. I'm like, thank God. Maybe there's a
Wow.
hope. Maybe there's hope that I'm going to get back to feeling like me again. And sure enough, it took a couple months, but I got back, and now my energy is back where I wanted, and that's why I'm all turn on to the downloads. It's kind of a crazy story, but you talk about biohacking. I tried everything, but the writing, the meditation, the prayer, everything has been part of that. And isn't that all of us what we're trying to do? Is we're trying to quarterback our health, and as someone who's been active his whole life, like when you can't work out anymore, and I'm a coach and trainer, you're trying to work out, but you can't because you're in so much pain. You can't hold 10-pound dumbbells or lie down on a bench to do a bench press because your back is so jacked up. That was me. And I look back in pure gratitude now, thinking, man, I understand when people are in pain, they tell me they're in pain. I get it. I get what you're thinking. I get some of the crazy thoughts that you may have. I understand those thoughts. And before 2020, I would have never said that.
Mm.
Yeah.
It does to take some pressure and struggle and pain sometimes to get real answers and then come out and serve the world even
Yep.
more.
You
So
got it, Lauren. You got it.
lots to be grateful for, even though it's a tough road,
Yeah.
but there's
Well,
a
thank you.
purpose. Thank you for
Thank you.
serving your purpose. Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
thank you. And I know that's what you guys do as well. And I know that's what, your listeners all do. And if I can ever be a resource for you guys or them, please feel free to reach out. You don't want to, again, you don't want to walk through my path, right? We all have our own journeys and stories, but I feel very grateful that the path that I have walked, especially in the last, 4 years now since it all started, um, has been a blessing.
Mhm.
Mm.
Beautiful. So,
Thank you.
Todd, as we
Yeah.
start to wrap up, could you share a final piece of advice with our audience, something they can start doing today to optimize their health, their mindset, their life, anything that comes to mind?
Well, because it's the end of the year, what I would say is, and I'm spending a lot of time on this now, I actually started in early November doing this every year for the last dozen years. I do spend a lot of time on my strategic plan for the year. Spend some time. Like I'm going to spend personally 5 to 10 hours between now and the end of the year working on my life plan, which includes working out, obviously, and everything else. But one of my tips and strategies is reverse engineer your success. Reverse engineer your success. The way you do that is you look at your life plan, your year plan, you look at your 90-day wonder, you look at your 3 and 30, 10 forms of wealth, all the way down to your W lags. You reverse engineer on down. So I would just say right now is a great time for anyone to open up a notebook or get the strategic plan and really think about what do you want out of your life? And if you're in pain, how do you get out of pain? Who can you reach out to and get some wisdom from the people that have been there, done that in whatever area of your life, whether it be in your career, you want to increase your finances, if you want more adventure in your life, you want your relationships to improve, what coaches can you work with, whatever it may be. So I think right now, as 2024 is coming to a rapid close, while I would say work out, that's a mandatory. I'd also say right now is a very unique time for the next several weeks into early 25 is get the strategic plan and start to work on your business, your life, your relationships, your finances, and most importantly, your impact, your legacy on what you want to leave to the world.
Awesome. Great tips. Lots of great tips. Thank you,
Thank you.
Todd.
Thank you.
Thank
So,
you, Renee. Thank you, Lauren.
for people that want to learn more, follow you, where's the best place for them to go?
I love Instagram. So I'm on Instagram. It's at my name at Todd Durkin. But I'm on all social media platforms, and my website is just todddurkin.com, todddurkin.com. So that's where I have all the information with between my keynoting and what I do with my coaching programs. So between Instagram and that, I have a podcast as well, the Todd Durkin Impact Show. Every week we put out a Monday episode on that. So if someone wants some additional information and content besides what you guys are putting out, which is awesome, feel free to hop over
Thank
to
you.
the Impact Show as well.
Great. All
Awesome.
right. We'll link to all that in the show notes so it's easy for everyone to find. Thank
Awesome.
you, Todd, for
Renee, thank
spending your
you.
hour with us and for all the work you're doing. We are so grateful for you.
Renee, thank you. Lauren, you guys are awesome. Thank you so much.
Oh,
Thank you. Thank you. You're
thank you.
awesome. Thank you. And thanks to everyone for tuning in. We'll see you next time.